Welcome back to Cozy Financial Planning. My name is Aaron, if you're unfamiliar with me, and I'm a former advisor here in Ontario, Canada for about a decade. Today we're going to go through our second episode of Financial Advisor Reacts to Reddit. I'm going to read a few stories in the personal finance subreddit, and we're going to talk about what they mean, what they are, and I'll kind of give my opinion on them, as this is not actual legal advice or financial advice. So this person wants to use a website called Chexy, which allows you to use e-transfers, pay them, and they're going to then pay off your property taxes or things you can't normally utilize for a credit card. So you transfer your money to Chexy, and then they pay it, and it goes through a credit card, and you get points. But they do charge a fee for it. It is 1.75%. The story is, looking to pay off school fees and property taxes using Chexy, and I'm trying to figure out which credit card to go with. My total cost would be roughly $70,000 across my payments to be made using e-transfer. 1.75% of $70,000 is a $1,000 $225 fee. The offset options the person's considering is a Scotiabank Momentum. It caps at $1,000, so there'll be negative fees of $225. Wealthsimple Infinite Privilege, which is 2% cash back. They'll make greater than that be $1,400. They make $175. TD Visa Infinite Privilege, which is greater than 1.25%. It kind of converts to $1,315. So he's up $90. And my question about this is, what is the point? That's the basic system. I'm not saying don't game the system, but this feels like a lot of work and to gain $90. And I guess you can count it as if you got points or credit or whatever you want to use, the fringe benefits of it could be useful, but I feel like there's better ways to use this. I don't understand. You still have to make the payments. If you have a lump sums, you might as well just pay off the lump sums. I guess if you really want an extra $90 or $100, $175, $200, you could pay off the $70,000 whole, and then you could get the free $175 for paying $70,000, and you get whatever points, I guess, whatever. It's just an interesting take. I don't think it's that good. It's a lot of work, a lot of hoops to jump through for $90. One additional thing is, in the comments, people did say use a Canadian Tire MasterCard. It may allow you to pay for the bills without actually having to have a 1.75% fee of Chexy. Very simple, very straightforward. Is it a good idea, given what's going on in the world, to invest in mutual funds for the next 3 to 5 years? Thanks. Simple question. However, the general consensus, in my opinion, or what I would do is, I don't have enough information. I need more questions, more answers, more information. As a person who used to plan for people, more information is so much beneficial. I can't give you the best thing for you if something's withheld. It doesn't matter if you think it's relevant or not. However, this just means a very simple answer. If you can invest and you're ready to invest and you're ready to do this for your life or for your financial goals, then just get in the market. Don't worry about the turbulent markets. As long as this is long term. If it's short term, don't go in the markets for 3 years. You never know what's going to happen. Stick to it for long term, especially if you're projecting 10 plus years out. 3 to 5 years shouldn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Go for it. Just be in the market. This one may be more applicable to what's going on in the world and the economy today with jobs and everything. So very simple. There's a 63-year-old person, and their child is asking for advice. My mother, who's 63, was recently let go after 30 years of service at a private company. She was offered only 8 months of salary at severance. She will be talking to an employment lawyer about this. She had only her work vehicle, no personal vehicle. They previously had told her that she would be only allowed the vehicle for personal use until August, so she was planning to purchase a vehicle then. She has filed for EI, but this will barely cover her expenses, rent, and food. She was thinking about either cashing out her RRSP or changing it into a RRIF, so she has access to this money for purchasing a vehicle and for supplementing EI. I am wondering if this is a good option or if she should stick it out until 65 and suffer for the time it takes to receive her settlement from her former employer. 2 more items of note. She's in the middle of a divorce and is expecting for this to be settled in the next 2 to 3 months. Not sure how this settlement payment, or money from the RSP or RIF would impact EI. I'm trying to help her out in finding the best way to move into the next phase of her life with the smartest financial plan. Number 1, again, more information. There needs to be a little bit more. Off the top of my head, I need to know more information, like how much is rent, how much is food, what is the income coming in, what's going out, before we even get into the nitty-gritty of salaries and severages and everything else. Number 1 though, I would have a meeting with an employment lawyer like they spoke about earlier on, which is great. They're already doing that. Followed by, I would talk to the divorce lawyer and inform them of all this. Without knowing more information, one of the key things right here, right now, is there's a divorce going on. How is this RSP, which is already established, how is that being settled for assets? Sometimes spouses can get some. How is that going to look like this? What is it? What it takes in there? Is this severance or any like package from them? Is it going to be affect the divorce and have to be paid out? Before you can make decisions on if you should use RSP or RIF, we need more information about the divorce. The employment lawyer is one thing, the divorce is the next thing. Is there other options as well so you can plan out the retirement a little bit better? Can this person stay with you, the child, for any period of time? Do they have family members or do they have to live in this place that has rent? The divorce is definitely the crux of everything, in my opinion. We have to see what's going on. That's just it. This child is very much looking out for the parent, which is fantastic, and they want to make sure the smartest financial ideas and plans are in place. It would be beneficial to know more information about divorce. Are they going to receive more money for retirement from the divorce, or is everything just going to go separate? Based on that, you would get better information. One note about the employment is I would think the employment lawyer is going to talk about the fact that she is 63 years old. Essentially, a lot of people are going to consider that person unemployable. It'd be very difficult to find a job for the next couple of years before retirement age. So it'd be weird that they're not being bridged. We don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Hopefully they get bridged all the way to retirement and they can make this plan a little bit more easier to handle. Hello, this is my first time ever posting on Reddit, so please bear with me if I don't have the necessary details or if the format is confusing. I'm 19 years old, turning 20 this year. I'm a second year university student living at home with my family in Alberta. We aren't doing the best financially. That's not good to hear. I've been receiving provincial and federal loans and grants to cover all my university expenses. I have some leftover money from the loans and grants I received last year. I was able to fully pay off the loan debt. This year, the remainder won't fully cover the debt, so I was thinking of maybe trying to invest. I've tried doing some research on investing, but I'm kind of overwhelmed by all the information out there. It makes total sense. It's why I'm here. I want to help people feel less overwhelmed, but it makes sense. There's a lot of information out there, and where do you go? Who do you trust? I'm also Muslim, so I can only invest in halal stocks. I'd really appreciate any advice and guidance on how and where to start. For example, do I use West Simple app? Is that the best beginner option, especially for halal investing? So there's two parts here. One, should you be investing for this type of thing? And number two, where to start? And then I guess the third point, which is Muslim and halal investing. So number three, the halal stuff, the Muslim stuff, I am a little familiar with it. I had some clients and I knew people in my offices who did this very specifically as it was their culture as well. They had a very interesting take on it, very simple to what I learned. Was this is based on, you kind of have three different options. One, there's people there are Muslims that are extreme one way who don't believe in those followings for investing purposes, and they just invest like everyone else. Number two, the other extreme is they very much follow it to a T, and they're very strict on things and how they want to do things, and it puts a limit on what they're going to accomplish and get done. And that's up to them. It's full power to them. You have to be comfortable with it. This is speaking a bit as an advisor. Now there's people in the middle who believe that it's a necessary thing to do, which is invest and take care of yourself. And they would opt for doing the best they can to stay as to their religion and their beliefs. But if they had to make a slide, they would be okay if needed. So this just means they don't invest in certain things that are, social bad and stuff like that, or certain things about interest. I believe it has something to do with real estate investing, stuff like that. I can't remember all the ins and outs of it. All the rules and regulations of it, but there was a bunch of things to it. Anyway, what I'm getting at is there's something else there, and that's kind of secondary to what the main crux of everything here is. Should you be investing to pay back your loans? This is not a long-term plan. You cannot predict the markets. Do not do this. I will say this is information. I don't believe this person should be doing this. It's 19, 20 years old. Your family's not doing great. What happens if this money goes down? How are you going to replace it in the first place? My thing is find a different option, figure it out, make payments, do something else. Do not do this. If it's you need this money in less than 3 years, probably less than 5 years, please don't do this. I've always said it, short-term investing shouldn't really be done in the markets in some way. If I want to be nice about it, I would also say put it into a high interest savings account, put it into a GIC for the period of time you need it. Even if you had to put in redeemable GIC, which is less rate usually, but you get to redeem it with no penalty, so you can get access to it to make your payment. There are a few other options. They're just low interest and it's just helpful in that way. That's kind of how you have to look at short-term money. So here's a doozy of one. It's a little more complicated, but I do think it's good. My partner and I currently have around a $275,000 sitting in a promotional high interest savings account, earning 4.5% interest. We have maybe another 6 months runway to take advantage of another one of these offers. So this is not a long-term plan and it is a weighted decision trying to figure out how we want to use this money strategically and intelligently to set ourselves up for a successful financial future. That's great thinking. I love the fact that people are always thinking ahead. Thinking of approaching this ineffectively has been highly stressful. I don't like the stress part. Here's some general information on their situation. We're a couple in our early 30s living in BC. We have no debt besides our mortgage. Both our vehicles are fully paid off. Home equity is about $500,000 as a townhome. Their mortgage remaining is just under $400,000 and they're on a bi-weekly payment. We have a variable rate at 3.35%, which is really good, and they have to renew in August of 2027, so just over a year out. Their monthly expenses total around $6,000. One partner is in school full-time until September 2027, and they anticipate $70,000 in expenses for this partner over this period of time while they are not working this time. They're a student. One partner is working full-time with an annual net income of around $110,000. Being net income is actually really strong. We are expected net income after graduation will be around $225,000 a year. That's net. That's a fantastic early 30s income for an individual. They would like to start a family in the next 3 to 5 years. We would love to upgrade to a detached home shortly after we start a family. If we need to wait longer to do so, we will. We purchased our home at an expensive time, and I would imagine it's currently worth maybe $75,000 less than it was purchased for. Yikes. Here's some additional information on our finance. One TFSA is maxed at $102,000. That's great news. One TFSA is not maxed and it's at $47,000. A total of $150,000 roughly. Our combined RSPs are at $32,000. All of our registered accounts are invested entirely in Vanguard's growth return. We have $22,000 additional liquid cash. If you're in this situation, how would you approach this $275,000 that is outside of registered accounts? My partner is leaning on putting this down on our mortgage, though I feel there are better strategies to secure our financial future while moving toward our goals. Any advice, strategies, perspectives we really appreciate here. This is a really good case to look at and talk about. There's a lot of information to kind of go on. They listed out some goals. They listed out how much money they bring in roughly. The only thing I don't have is how much cash flow is left over after roughly. So 110,000, they spend 60, it's about 50 grand a year. They have almost, it's 10 grand a month, right? 9 grand. They have like $3,000 that I left over after every month. They are saving a lot, but they can spend it too. First and foremost, you want to start a family. The idea would be is try to calculate that out, maybe figure out what mat leave would be for you. Stuff like that, how does that work, and go from there. Like look to do an emergency fund for that reason. The $22,000 liquid cash would essentially be it's 3-4 months worth of expenditures. So I think that's a great emergency savings. I would leave that alone. I would take the $275 and start breaking up into your goals. What's the first priority? Is it more investments? Maybe you want to level at the TFSA, and that way, I've talked about before with split incomes and retirement, you want to kind of even out, so the taxes payable are usually less for each person, instead of one person being up here and one person being down here, and things go like this. So it'd be one thing to even things out now before the person gets a job. Additional option, as I said, setting up for your babies or your family that you want to prepare for is another option. I wouldn't register everything. TFSA is fine because you can get it out, but I wouldn't necessarily register everything because during planning of families, I understand people struggle to have kids. You may need to dip into your savings for it. You say both cars are paid off. How old are they? When do you need to replace them? Maybe you want to purchase a new vehicle outright so you don't have that payment. Something like that. It doesn't have to be a new vehicle, it could be used, but you get my point. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to spend it and go on a little trip? It's up to you on what you want to do. I would prioritize my goals and then write out how much percentage I want to deal with that. Based on the conversation about the house, your rate is at 3.35%. Maybe you want to make some extra money and put it on there, or make some extra payments and put it on there, that's fine. But if the Vanguard is doing quite much better than 3.35, why would you lower the rate essentially? The only reason I would lower the rate essentially is if it was bothering me to have that debt. It doesn't sound like this bothers anyone, so it's not something I would put at the high priority. I understand what they're trying to do, but maybe you want to keep it out for buying that detached home. It depends on the timeline for all these goals. I understand the person's going to work after September, but they have to find that job. I don't know how easy it is. I don't know what industry this is. It's high paying, but it doesn't mean it's easily found. So maybe you need time to keep the snowball going before you really implement these things. I like the idea that they're setting up a plan. If you set a plan up, you say, here are the things I want to accomplish. Here's how I'm going to do it based on this stuff. I'm going to do this way. Now, if something comes up, maybe you end up getting pregnant sooner and having a child. Well, you had a plan, so you just rearrange things. It's a lot easier than trying to fly by our seats when something comes up. I do think this is great. My general idea is I wouldn't put it on the house unless it's keeping you up at night or it's stressful to you. I wouldn't worry about it. Keep the $22,000 additional as an emergency fund, maybe top it up to 25 to 30 if you want. Consider your cars and if you need replacements. And I would top up the TFSAs essentially right away and go from there. Anything left over after that, I would consider setting aside for a down payment of a house and keep it in a high interest savings account that's doing better than your mortgage. It's 4.5%. Keep it going. I think this is a really good one. If you have any questions, comments about it, I'm happy to hear your thoughts on this case and go from there. Now, that's all the time we have for today. I appreciate you watching till the end. If you have any comments about what I missed or any of these stories, please leave them below. I read every one. And please hit that subscribe button.